This week in green, meet the guerrilla gardeners rewilding San Francisco in the most joyous way. This is absolutely a feel-good story this week. So this comes out of San Francisco. There is a couple named Shalako and Phoenix, and they've gained a lot of popularity on apps like TikTok. You see, not too long ago, Shalako and Phoenix, they found a Parmesan shaker, and he gifted it to Phoenix, and he basically said, look at this. This is the mega epic seed shaker. And they filled it with seeds, and they went around San Francisco, and they started guerrilla gardening in all the barren and empty lands. And what they found was all the land that doesn't have any growth on it, that is a place where people usually tend to throw their trash and garbage and things to pile up when it's just the barren land. But the moment there are flowers and plants there, people tend to keep that area open and they don't put their trash there. So they've kicked it up a notch. They have an entire team now where they all have hoverboards and they roll around the city with these shakers, Parmesan shakers, salt shakers filled with seeds. But the important thing is that these seeds are non-invasive and they are native to the area. So they do their research. They say it's incredibly important. Don't go out finding things like pampas grass or bamboo. Those things take a little too well in areas. Those are the kind of plants that if you plant them, they can really take over. And that's how you can kind of tell that something is an invasive species. So it's important to do your research and know what's a part of your area. But they have taken it so far with these shakers where they go along on their hoverboards and they pour it over the plants. And they have, they even have pellet shooters loaded with these seeds. And they shoot them all across these areas. And it's really started this momentum. And people are now sending them videos of their kids doing it. And I just love this. We've talked about the podcast, we've talked on the podcast before about guerrilla gardening, but what I loved about this is they were dropping thousands of seeds over areas, and I thought the likelihood of a lot of these seeds taking root is increased because they're doing so much more. So I actually didn't really have much of a punchline other than I'd love to see this kind of told as a modern day Jack and the Beanstalk story. He goes off to sell the cow and he comes back on a hoverboard with a pea shooter filled with seeds to plant. And I thought that was a pretty cool story.
Two quick notes for the audience. One, they are not actual gorillas; they are guerrillas.
That's true. These are
and they're not
animal.
actual hoverboards. They're hoverboards on wheels. The hoverboards, the wheat that
You're right. I know what you're saying. I know. Well, what he's saying is true because we come from a time where hoverboard referred to something that actually floats above the ground. And so, fact check. You're saying, guys, these ain't real hoverboards.
Yeah, they're not.
They're not.
My kids call them hoverboards, and I was like, "Wow, you got a hoverboard?" And then they had wheels on it.
Yeah.
That's not a hoverboard. I've
bogus.
been lied to. I saw a hoverboard in Back to the Future.
Yes,
and it hovers.
And so this is a wheel with a plank.
Yes.
And don't those things blow up sometimes?
Absolutely.
So if you're going to do this, please don't blow up.
Don't blow up. That's our rule number one.
Rule number one. And don't get a real gorilla. Be a guerrilla. How'd you say it?
Guerrilla. Although a guerrilla.
Guerrilla.
But though the image of two gorillas on hoverboards running around planting seeds is kind of a nice one. I think that could really work. If we could make that happen, if we could train the gorillas and invent the hoverboards and then actually have that happen, I feel like we'd be winning.
We'll have more for you soon.